Hello and good afternoon, Framework friends. We're excited to have everybody here and to begin our support series on getting you aligned in a really solid way with our Framework app to be sure that you're able to look at the analysis tools we've created and use that real well to manage your business better. We're currently the 1st of August. This is a beautiful time of year to use it to see what the effects of tuition rate increases for the fall, discount elimination, some cost containment projections. So it's a great time of year to do some what ifs. So I'm excited to have Meredith Douglas, who is our communication and events director. Meredith has rocked it with Framework from the very beginning and been very closely involved in its programming and design, and she's going to lead us through this content today. Also, Tom Wood is attached here, and Tom leads our success services, and that includes Framework too. So really proud of both of them and the work they're doing on behalf of our current users and the community, and being sure that this is a tool that supports you in your business analysis. So quick history of the Framework tool. Framework goes back about, every time I say a number of years, I should probably add about 5 years, but I think it's about 25 years now, when I realized there was no way to benchmark your company against other financially healthy companies. So largely the industry had no idea how well they were performing in comparison to similar size, similar tuition rate schools. So it's not enough just to say what's the average school. We've built a tool that says, given your size and your tuition rates, what should I be spending in each category? And over time, we've tempered that with market changes and things like reduced marketing cost, increased employee benefits, increased processing fees for tuition. And we're constantly watching those things to be sure that you have the most up-to-date information and that you are able to compare your company really solidly against other companies. So I'm going to turn this over to Meredith. Meredith's going to walk you through the input process. We're happy to take questions. You guys stay engaged with us. We are recording this, and we want to be able for you to be able to review it again later, and for others who weren't able to join right at this moment to do their data input. So thank you for working with us on that mission, and I will turn it over to Meredith.
Thank you, Kathy. This is really built to be a very quick overview and kind of a walk through the Framework program. So thank you guys for joining. I will do some quick overview of some best practices with you all first. So on today's agenda is what's new with Framework. You should have received an e-blast last week that kind of reviewed some of the exciting things that we were able to add to the program between, I think we started that back in March. We worked with our development team and added some new features that we think will be beneficial to you guys as you use Framework. We'll also review some best practices, and I'll walk you through the program, walk you through inputting numbers, reviewing reports and insights, and playing some what if games, and then some recommended applications of how best you can use Framework and apply it to your childcare business. So what's new with Framework? Well, we added a few direct links to some content that we think will be really helpful for you guys to have access to as you are building a better financial framework for your business. So I'll show you when we enter into the program the direct links that you have to some of our Hinge blogs, which are really insightful for tuition rate setting and what discounts maybe you should take a second look at. We also, all of last year, if you have been a member for more than a year now, you will remember that we did Framework Sprints, which were 30-minute webinars that we hosted monthly that share a lot of more applicable content. So a lot of staff retention and hiring strategies, marketing strategies for building enrollment, and then some more content that you could apply to framework as where to put numbers in what buckets and so forth. So all of those framework sprints were recorded and they are now available on a playlist on our YouTube page. So you'll have a direct link to those as well. One other thing that we added was a more in-depth tuition data entry. I'll walk that new feature through that new feature with you guys when we go to the program in a minute. But it helps support more part-time rates. So if you have someone who comes to you for just 2 days a week, you'll be able to input their rates and it will give a better overall financial picture for you. And we added a few new expense lines to the operational costs as well that you'll see. So we'll review those in a little bit. Some framework best practices, 2 big tips here. The first one being come prepared. So whenever you are ready to sit down and input your numbers, because we know that's a lot of information to input, we recommend having your tuition rate sheet on hand, your current enrollment on hand, and a profit and loss statement on hand. If you have all of those things with you, it's going to make the process so much more seamless and it'll help you get through it faster. But also take breaks. You don't have to input everything at once. The program will remember everything that you've input. So you don't have to do everything all at once. We usually recommend you can do your tuition rates and discounting at once because they kind of go together and all that information is in one place. And then you can input your staffing costs, facility costs, and operational expenses from your P&L, and they're at a separate time. So maybe do it in 2 goes, do it in 5 if that's what it takes, but take breaks and don't think that you have to sit down and put all of your information in at one time. So with all of that said, let's go ahead and let me share a new screen with you guys so we can walk through the framework program. All right. I hope everyone can see our screen here. This is the welcome screen. This is what you will see as soon as you log into Framework. And a few things to call out on this page. The webinars, the framework sprints I was discussing earlier, you can access them right up here in the sub navigation. And it will bring you to this framework sprints playlist where you can watch all of these. They're 30-minute, they're very quick, and they have a lot of great content for ways that you can improve the financial situation at your school and become a more financially healthy school. So you can scroll through these, but you have access to those directly from the welcome page. Same thing with articles. It will take you straight to all of our tips, tricks, and trends blogs. We just posted one this week about the true cost of care, setting your preschool tuition rates. So that's really helpful with school starting back. Might have already started back for the new school year. I know some people in Greenville where we live have, but there's some really good blogs in here for you to reference to build a better framework for your school. And also, everything that we're covering today is also available in this Getting Started. It's a one-page, one-pager for you to just review. Here's a preview of it here that kind of walks you through the program. So this Getting Started with Framework, you can print this out, have it on hand, but it's just a quick little overview for you to have that will help you better use the program. But also you can always reference this recording as well. So those are just a few quick call outs before we get into inputting the numbers. Some of you are with us at our Thrive workshop and have been able to work with a team member at Hinge Advisors who may have input numbers for you. You may have or may have walked you through this, but you'll see how intuitive the program is as we walk through this. This first tab is very easy. It's just your location name so that we can kind of put a name to the school that you are inputting information for. So you enter, this is a fictional school that we've created, Kids World Learning Center in Greenville. input all the information here. And then we go save and next. So that's quick and easy. You can do that without bringing anything with you. This is when we get into some of the nitty gritty as the tuition and occupancy. So this is all information you should just have on hand or know off of the top of your head. What your tuition billing period is, your annual net revenue before discounting. I'd also like to call out that there are these little tooltips that help you know exactly what we're looking for. So when we say total revenue, when we say annual net revenue, we mean total revenue before discount. So anytime you have a question of what exactly do they mean there, you can just hover over these little tooltips and it will give you more information. So this top section is very easy to kind of answer questions for. And also, guys, if you have questions during this, please drop it in the chat box. We have a lot of our team members on this call who can help answer any questions that you have while I'm reviewing this. So don't stay quiet. We can have conversations on the side as well. And as I mentioned before, so if you haven't logged into Framework in a while, this tuition rates section is going to look a little different to you. So this is a new application that we have made some major enhancements to, because we heard from a lot of people, I don't have just full-time or part-time, or my part-times aren't all 50% part-time. Some are, only come 2 days a week. So that's not exactly 50% of a full-time rate. So you can now choose between a lot of different rates here for you to label. So this full-time rate for this infant class is $210 and there's 10 people and there's 10 kids enrolled, but you're able to break it down into, pretty much as many choices as possible. Now, we hope that you are having as many full-time kids in your class as possible at paying the full-time rate. But we know that that's not always the case, and that there are always going to be different schedules for different preschools. So these are examples of this school, and I'll show you how we input these. So I'm going to add a class group. So we're going to say that this preschool does an after school program. So I'm going to name that class group after school. And then it's going to ask me a few questions. So this is when I need to input, okay, I have capacity for 50. This is your license capacity. Again, tooltip will let you know this is the number of children that can occupy the room as determined by licensing. So we have 50 license capacity for after school. We're going to put them at a full-time rate of $170, and we're going to say we have 35 people enrolled so far. And that's as easy as it is. You can, we have one thing in the chat, let's look. All right, Devin, if I have multiple centers, can I access the different centers' framework data from a central login? This is another enhancement that we are working on with our development team. We know a lot of you guys have multiple sites, and we would love for you to go into one login to access all of those sites, and we are working on that. So that is in the works. But for right now, all schools do have their own individual logins. So that's one of those coming soon features that obviously will take a bit more work to have all of every single one of your schools into one login, but we are working on that. So stay tuned. If there are any questions regarding tuition rates, pop them in the chat box, and some of our team members can answer those too. But as soon as you're done entering in your tuition rates, you just go to Save and Next, and it will move you on to our next tab, which is the Discount tab. So this is pretty self-explanatory and intuitive as well. You'll see all of these. We have the infants. Is this the number of people or number of children that you have that are currently have that discount in that class group? So we have 3 staff half in the infant class group, and I can show you how you enter this as well. So we can let's say we want to add an industry discount here. So it's very similar to how you would enter your tuition rates. You just name it and then you tell it the discount percentage. We're just going to give them 10% discount, just a little discount for maybe a new company that came in town that's right next door and you want them to come to your school. And so then you just enter in. So we're going to say we're not going to give any discounts to infants and toddlers, but we have 2 in the 2-year-old group, 3-year-old group, and 4-year-old class, and we're not giving any discounts to after school people. All right. So it's really as simple and easy as that. So you enter in your discount, say how much that discount is worth, and then you let us know how many children in each class are receiving that discount. And again, once you're done, save and next, on to the next guy. So this moves us to staff costs, and this is when you're going to want to break out your P&L, your profit and loss statement. And all of these are broken down. You see you have the salary costs up top. And then you have all of the other information that go in that are part of your staffing costs, whether it's payroll taxes, employee benefits, and again, tooltip to let you know what those employee benefits include, staff training, recruitment, miscellaneous staff costs. So you'll see the actual expenses. So this is where you're going to input all of your school's expenses here. If you do not input a number into one of these, you'll see I have recruitment left blank. The program will pull whatever the benchmark expense is for that category. So it will pull 0. So whether I entered 0 in here, let's say the benchmark expense was $2,000 and I left this blank, it would pull the $2,000 from the benchmark. So if something is 0, put 0 in that bucket, because the program intuitively knows to pull a benchmark expense, because it just assumes, okay, maybe you don't know that exact number. Well, this is what the average expense is for a preschool in that area. But if you don't spend anything in that category, make sure you enter 0 into that bucket. Anything else I wanted to cover here? No, I think we're good. So move on to the next category for your facility costs. Same thing here. If something's 0, put a 0. I left some of these blank because I think the benchmark expense for them is 0, and most of those are new benchmark line items that I was saying that we've added in to help you guys input your numbers better. So a few of these are new line items, like this miscellaneous building costs. If there's something that doesn't fit into any of these other categories that is unique to your school, that would go under our miscellaneous. There was a miscellaneous staff costs in the previous tab as well. And so you'll follow through this with your P&L like you would with your staff costs, and also with the next category, which is your operational expenses. And we know that this can be timely to enter in all of these expenses and find them in your financial statements. But the more information you put into this program, into Framework, the more you're going to get back. So it's one of those things that you take the time up front, and then you're going to get a lot out of it at the end. So again, with the tooltips and entering expenses, this is where we added most of our new line item expenses. So you'll see that we have other expenses down here, including interest, depreciation, franchise fees if you're a franchise owner, and grants, because so many people received grants during the pandemic, and some are still receiving them. But these are things that you can add. These are new line items that will be factored into the benchmark now. So if you have those, you can enter these into these new spaces that we've made available. Now, after you have entered in all of your information, taken a deep breath, then we can go and view reports and insights. And this is where you're going to get a lot of really good information. the first tab on our reports and insights is the benchmark. So this gives you a lot of information. It's a lot to soak in all at once. But how it's organized is that you have the benchmark based on your occupancy on the left, and then in the middle, you have your actual data that you just entered. So this is all of the information you've entered. And you can see on the very right side how they compare. What's the variance? You know, where are you, like this, we're clearly struggling in the discounts area. You can see there. But you can see these are the benchmark percentages here that we recommend. This is what we recommend you spend in each of these categories. And we've broken these down into every single category. So this is a lot of information to look at, but I suggest looking at these numbers and seeing how you match up, where you're doing well, where maybe you need some improvement. But it's a whole lot of information for you to review, but we help break it down for you further by these other tabs, which are the 5 areas where we feel, where we've noticed over Kathy's many years looking at other childcare owners' financial statements, that these are the 5 areas that are going to get you 95% of the way to real financial health, where you're going to be putting more money on your bottom line. So those include tuition, discounting, occupancy, staff costs, and facility costs. So these are the 5 areas that we want you guys to focus on when we give you your benchmark. And so we've broken them down into these tabs where you can see a lot of reports and insights. So tuition, this school's doing well on tuitions. So you'll kind of see what your score is below the insights tab here. We gave this school a green light. They're doing really well with their tuitions. They're increasing their tuition rate annually, and they're setting them at a rate slightly higher than their competitors. We're giving them a big thumbs up. We also share recommended practices underneath each of these tabs, which are the practices that we share with you guys during the Thrive workshop if you were there with us in Chicago in May. So recommended practices for tuition rates are to set them at least equal to those of your true competition, if not higher, and to increase them at least once annually, if not more. The blog we just shared today, we are noticing that people are upping their tuition rates sometimes more than once a year now to keep up with cost. And we used to suggest 3 to 5% tuition increase. We're suggesting 8 to 10% now. So you'll see all of these recommendations that we have for schools here underneath the recommended practices. And if you want to go even deeper, you can read blogs that we have. So setting your preschool tuition rate is the blog that we just shared today. We also have other blogs that we shared earlier this year with tuition rates versus salary expense. And there's a framework sprint. There's a webinar that you can watch on tuition rate strategies. So we're doing well in tuition rates here. So we're not going to do any what if forecasting because we don't need to look at that yet. But let's go take a look at the discounting tab, because, oh, it's saying I'm in a healthy range for discounting. I don't have that. Okay, when I tested, I'm guessing it's because I didn't do any discounts for the after school people. But discounting tab is typically where most people need a lot of help, and it's where they can start and make a really big impact on their bottom line. Our recommended practices for discounting is not to discount infants and toddlers, because this is where the cost of providing care is highest. To eliminate any free or vacation days. Those aren't the norm in the industry anymore. So we've recommended people get rid of those, and most people have. But you can also see further insights here with the blog and the frameworks front. This is usually a good place to play with what if forecasting. So this is a fun little thing that we've been able to create with our development team that kind of will show, you know, if I get rid of some discounting, where so right now it's saying the ratio of discounting to net revenue is 6.8%. I think we typically like this to be 5% or less. So we can do some things by, let's say, okay, well, what if I did remove discounts from the infants category? What would that do for me? I mean, just doing that one move moves you down to 4.5%. So these are fun little games you can play if you want to decide, okay, maybe I don't want to do an industry discount anymore. I want to get rid of that. You can see how much of an effect it will have on your bottom line and what percentage you'll be at when you play these games. So the what if forecasting is just kind of a fun little way for us to for you to play around, see if I were to make this one change, how much of an effect would it have? So for this school, just getting rid of discounts for their infants category would put them way in the green. So that's a fun little game for you to be able to play with your numbers when you're in our reports and insights. So you can also go to the occupancy tab. This is another place where what if forecasting is kind of fun to play around with, because you're able to go through and say, okay, what if I'm at full, what if I get to full capacity in one of these categories? How much will that, what will my projected net revenue be? How much will that affect my bottom line? So the what if games are really cool for framework members to be able to just play with their numbers to see how it's going to affect their bottom line, and what small changes they can make that can make a really big impact on their school. And you'll see our staff costs as well. So this school's red, critical salary costs are a big issue here. I'd already played some what if games here, so let's get rid of that. But you'll see there, you can play with some what if forecasting here to see, okay, what do I need to do to combat my my staff costs? And if I were to do a 10% increase on tuition, how would that affect it? And it would do well for you. So it would mean that your salary costs were having less of a hit on your overall financial picture. So there's a lot of these really cool things that you can do to play around with your numbers. Facility cost is another one. I think we're in the green on that one. Yes, we are. So that's good. And also what we like you guys to keep track of is you want all of these to be in the green. That's the goal. So whenever you're viewing your summary, your goal is to get every single one of these in the green so that you're getting a thumbs up in all categories. You're putting tons of money in your bottom line so you can reinvest it in your school. And that's the goal. So that's what we want you to use framework for, is to make those little tweaks, look at our recommended practices, see what areas you can work on to make the biggest impact. And that's the whole goal of this program. Does anybody have any questions about reports, about what if games? If you want to pop anything into the chat box, please do. And I'll go back to our presentation. Right. So as I said, our recommended practices are to check back with framework, make some of the changes that we recommend, go back, reset your numbers, and have the goal of getting everything in the green. Make sure everything's in the green. We've also heard from a few of our users that they use the program with their directors, and they have them report in quarterly. For this is typically for multi-site schools, and they'll have quarterly meetings for review of their school, and they get their directors involved in the goal setting process of how they can be a more financially healthy company. So that's kind of cool to get people involved in the process and the financial health of your school. So I still want to hear if anybody has any questions or any insights. If you have a way that you use framework for your school that you suggest other people use it, please drop it in the chat box. If you want to further invest in your school financially. We have a great team of financial coaches. I think Christine Mailer, Stephanie Thompson, and Zach Mailer might be on the call. Stephanie is here. Hi, Stephanie. Their team has been doing great work with our clients in that we have a QuickBooks online training course on Tuesday, August 22nd. There's Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. And we also are they're doing a lot of monthly financial coaching. Stephanie, do you want to tell us some more about your financial coaching? That'd be great.
Okay. Actually, real quick, I'm going to shut my door really quick. I didn't know I was going to.
Sorry, I put you on the spot, but I think it would be great for you to talk about your services because you know them better than anyone.
Yeah, so we do monthly one-on-one coaching, and the first part of it is just kind of cleaning up your books. And this is for people who use QuickBooks Online, but if you use something else, we can help transition you to QuickBooks Online. And so we get your books in order and reconcile everything, making sure everything is accurate, helps prepare you for tax and all that. But then from there, we really focus on the benchmarks and which framework we use the framework benchmarks for the different cost centers, as Meredith showed, like in the staff cost center and facility and admin and program cost centers. So we do tie it into framework, whether you use it or not. And if you're one of our clients and you already have framework, we'll help you enter all this information. So that's just like a side note of what we do, but we're really there to help with financial literacy, making sure your books are accurate, and helping in general with coaching through childcare, day-to-day things, and the financial side of it.
Yes, thank you. They will match, as she was saying, they will get your chart of accounts aligned with how Framework has the chart of accounts set up. So it makes everything so much more seamless for when you want to get into Framework to enter your numbers. And they're there to help. And they'll show you how to do that on the QuickBooks Online training course. They'll give you some tips there. So if you want a little sneak peek into their knowledge, you can definitely sign up for their QuickBooks Online training course on August 22nd. And if any of you guys are interested in that, I will copy and paste this into the chat box so you guys can access it from there. There you go. And if anyone has any other questions, Kathy, I don't know if you want to hop back on if I missed anything, but this is all from me walking through the program. Thank you guys for joining us. And if no one has any questions, I'm happy to end. And this would be a 30-minute training session. How quick and easy is that? All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you spending some time with us. If you have questions after this, send me an email, send any of our team an email, and we will get back to you. And let us know if you also have any insights on other things, like Devin was wondering about multiple centers. If you have any other insights or things that you think could improve Framework as a program, let us know. We are constantly talking to our development team, and we want this to be a great program for you guys to use. Thanks again for your time, and everyone have a great day. Bye.